Hi, my name is Lauren. I hope you are enjoying all of the activities that we have online for you today during our virtual Spring Fest. Today, I'm going to be doing a tasting of our sweet line. So this is a line of sweet fruit wines that we have available here at the winery, our Quaker Bridge location, and also our local Wegmans throughout the state. All 9 stores are carrying this line. It is great for the summer, all your upcoming activities when we can get back outside again. We have a video coming up a little later featuring the 2 new wines in this series, which is our Blackberry Red and our Apple White. A couple of our co-workers will be making some sangria with these wines, so you're going to want to tune in for that. And these wines are also part of a sweet wine sampler that we're going to be offering now through Mother's Day. So you can get all 5 wines for $55. You can order that on our website and pick up at any of our locations. So just to kind of give you a little run through of the wines we have today, as I said, we have a Blackberry Red, we have an Apple White, our Raspberry Blush, a Peach, and a Blueberry. You may be familiar with some of these other wines. We had these last year too. These are all handcrafted by our winemaker. And as I kind of go through them, one of the things I really like about our fruit wines is while they definitely are very fruit forward and you can definitely taste the raspberry or the peach and the blueberry, they're very well balanced. So even though they're about, I'd say maybe some of them are about 4.5 to 5% residual sugar, and you may think, wow, that's really, really sweet. These wines all finish very nice and clean on the palate. So even if you think, well, maybe I don't really like sweet wines, I highly recommend that you give these wines a try. I think they will sort of change the way you feel about some of the sweet wines. So kind of just starting with the group, we're gonna be starting off with our Blackberry Red. So if you're familiar with our Blackberry, which is very popular, Scott actually took this red and blended it with Chambourcin. Chambourcin is a very traditional red in this region. It's very cold hardy, grows really well in Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, and it adds a nice complexity to the Blackberry. So on the nose, you're gonna notice right off the bat, you're gonna get that blackberry, but secondarily, you're gonna get that Chambourcin. It's about 15% blackberry, so you do get that blackberry, but you're also gonna get that nice sort of cherry notes that the Chambourcin brings in. So again, you get the blackberry right at the beginning, but then it finishes nice and clean, and you're left with a little tiny bit of that tannin that you're getting from the Chambourcin, which is why I say, even though it's on the sweet side, it does finish nice and clean. It will pair with some desserts. I have like an assortment here today of some different desserts, things you might want to think about pairing it with. Any of your fruit desserts, this would be phenomenal with. I'm always partial to chocolate with red wines, especially something like this Blackberry Red. We have like a chocolate cupcake, a rich chocolate cake, because the nice thing is you get that fruit. It's almost kind of like when you have a raspberry chocolate dessert together. So those things always pair really well together. So I highly recommend grab some desserts, or as you'll see, make an awesome sangria. This is the perfect base for a red sangria. It needs nothing, maybe a little bit of fruit, some seltzer, and you're good to go. The next wine I have to taste today is our Apple White. So this is the second of the 2 new wines that we have this year. This again is about 10 to 12% apple. We make the apple wine and we blend it with Pinot Gris. Again, you're sort of getting the sweet wine component, but then we're blending it with a wine that has some innate acid, so you're gonna get a nice clean finish. You definitely get the apple notes on the front, and you get that softness and the crispness. I get almost like a little bit of a creaminess on the end, sort of like when you bite into an apple, you get that flesh from the apple. But again, it finishes nice and clean, perfect for a sangria, perfect for a dessert. You could pair this with something like an apple tart or something along those lines. That would be awesome. The next wine we have in the series is our Peach. This is a very popular wine. We get in addition to all of these, we get all of these from local sources. We get all of our fruit from some local farms here in New Jersey. Peaches, great. It's like right on the nose. This one again, very peachy on the finish. but as I've been saying sort of all along with all of these, still finishes nice and clean. This, I think, to me, this was probably one of the sweeter of all of them, but again, I would throw a little, seltzer or some sparkling wine in this and add some frozen fruit. Would be phenomenal for the summer. Next we have our raspberry blush. So this was like the first blend that we did. So this is a blend of raspberry and Pinot Gris. This probably, before we came out with these other two, this one was probably the most popular of the series that we had, because again, you get that nice sort of crispness from the white, but the raspberry flavor in it is a very unique component. I love this one. I think it's super fun. And we have a couple of these desserts up here that would be great with. We have a couple of truffles here from Lauri's Chocolates. This raspberry truffle would be phenomenal with this, because when you're trying to sort of pair your sweet wines with desserts and things like that, you want to pair sort of like sweetness levels. So if you have a sweet wine that's a little less sweet, you don't want a super sweet dessert with it. And vice versa, if you have a really sweet dessert wine, you want to kind of get something that sort of has a little bit more sugar in it to sort of match. So something like this raspberry truffle would be perfect. And last in our tasting, we have the blueberry. All Southern Jersey blueberries. These are all from Hamilton. We are the blueberry capital in the state. So again, this one I think turned a lot of people on last year to our sweet wines, because this one has a nice clean finish. A little tart on the end, just like a blueberry. Sort of when you bite in, you get that initial sort of burst of sweetness. And then blueberries sort of innately have the tannin on the skins, like a grape, and then they sort of have a nice acid component. So it lends itself to making something just like a wine, because you have the acid and the tannin and the fruit structure. So it's very similar in complexity to a regular red wine. Again, I would pair it with something fun like this ruby chocolate. So if you don't know, Lori has made these ruby chocolates for us, and it's what they call the fourth, fifth chocolate. It's an actual chocolate. It's not a white chocolate with raspberry mix in or anything like that. It's actually called ruby chocolate. And I tried it for the first time this year, and it was really interesting because it's a cross between like a white chocolate, but it has a little bit of a fruity component. So something like the raspberry or the blueberry would pair really well with something like a chocolate heart. So I highly recommend these wines if you haven't tried them. Again, they're available at all of our locations, the Winery, Kima, and Quaker Bridge. And they're also available at Wegmans throughout the state. So all 9 Wegmans stores have these available. And if you love fruit wines, I highly recommend you grab the sweet sampler set that we're doing right now. It's a great deal. It's $55. It would be normally $75. You can go on our website and order that and enjoy all these sweet wines all summer. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the programming this weekend. Thank you for joining us, and cheers.